It's been great. Everyone's been so nice. It's a blessing to be alongside such great players, be a part of a great organization. I'm super excited for the season. All of them that have been here last year have been super.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So the Indiana Fever have finally done something serious for once. And honestly, it only took complete chaos, roster confusion, injuries, and non-stop drama to get here. Because this organization has looked completely unserious for the last couple of weeks. Completely unserious. And now they finally make a move that everybody saw coming from a mile away. They waive Shatori Kimbrough. And I'm sorry, but let's just be honest from the start here. Shatori Kimbrough probably should not have made this roster in the first place. That's not me trying to be disrespectful, that's just reality. When you watched this team play, when you looked at the roster construction, when you looked at the lack of size, when you looked at how guard-heavy this team already was, the fit never really made sense. And the timing of this move makes the whole thing even weirder, because this has been one of the strangest weeks imaginable for the Fever. We've got the whole Caitlin Clark situation, people questioning injury reports, fans accusing the organization of hiding things, and now, suddenly, they make a roster move. So naturally, everybody starts connecting dots. Now, personally, I don't think waiving Shatori Kimbrough has anything directly to do with Caitlin Clark, but because of the timing, people are going to speculate anyway. That's just how sports works, especially when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because every single move involving the Fever becomes national conversation material now. But here's the reality. Shatori Kimbrough was basically a non-factor. She barely played, she was buried in the rotation, she got garbage time minutes, the coaching staff clearly didn't trust her enough to give her meaningful opportunities. So when people are acting shocked by this move, I honestly don't understand it. This was inevitable. Now, the bigger question becomes, why keep players like Damiris Dantas if you're moving on from Shatori Kimbrough? That's the conversation a lot of Fever fans are having right now. Because let's be real, what exactly is Damiris Dantas giving this team right now? Seriously, what role is she filling? What consistent production are you getting from her? And if the answer is basically nothing, then why are you carrying multiple veterans who aren't contributing? That's where fans start joking about these wild trade scenarios involving Caitlin Clark and the Washington Mystics. And honestly, some of these trade package conversations are hilarious because people are throwing around names like Georgia Amore, Cody McMahon, and Lauren Betts like it's NBA 2K franchise mode. But if we're being honest, if you ever traded a player like Caitlin Clark, the asking price would have to be absolutely insane. You're talking about multiple first-round picks, pick swaps, elite young talent, maybe even every valuable asset the Washington Mystics own. Because Caitlin Clark is not just a basketball player anymore. She's the face of the league financially. She drives ratings, she drives attendance, she drives merchandise sales. She changes the entire economic structure around a franchise. So when people casually throw out trade ideas, they don't realize how impossible that type of move actually is. But again, I think this move is less about some blockbuster trade and more about the Fever realizing they desperately need size. That's the biggest issue with this roster right now. They are overloaded with guards. Too many guards, too many small players, too many similar skill sets, and not enough front court depth. That's why this move feels obvious. Shatori Kimbrough literally played 6 garbage time minutes this season. 6! That tells you everything you need to know right there. And now people are panicking because they think the next move is going to be activating Bree Hall. I'm telling you right now, if the Fever cleared roster space just to bring up Bree Hall, Fever fans are going to lose their minds. Because the reality is, Bree Hall has not shown enough yet to make people believe she's solving any problems. And again, no disrespect to Bree Hall personally, but people are acting like she's some hidden gem waiting to explode. Right now, she's barely better than Shatori Kimbrough, if she's better at all. That's why fans are frustrated, because if you're going to make a roster move, people want it to matter. They want size, they want rebounding, they want defense, they want somebody who can actually impact games physically, and the Fever absolutely need that. This team already has enough 5'9" guards running around. At some point, you need balance. At some point, you need length. At some point, you need a front court presence that can actually help when the game becomes physical. That's why I actually understand the logic behind waiving Shatori Walker-Kimbrough. Again, this isn't personal, she just didn't fit. And honestly,
I think the organization knew this for a while. The bigger issue is that the Fever front office created this awkward situation themselves. They built an unbalanced roster, and now they're trying to fix it in the middle of a chaotic season where every move gets magnified because of Caitlin Clark. That's why the reactions are so extreme right now. And then you have the Damiris Dantas situation, which honestly just gets stranger and stranger. Because have you noticed something? It almost feels like Damiris Dantas only gets talked about when Caitlin Clark is expected to play. When Caitlin Clark was available, suddenly there were conversations about Dantas spacing the floor and fitting offensively. But when Caitlin Clark is out, Dantas barely sees the court. Sometimes she doesn't even play meaningful garbage time minutes. Meanwhile, Shatori Walker-Kimbrough at least got out there occasionally. So Fever fans are looking at this and asking a valid question. What exactly is the long-term vision here? Because right now, the roster construction still doesn't make a ton of sense. Personally, if I'm the Fever, I'm aggressively looking for size anywhere possible. I'm calling teams, I'm monitoring developmental contracts, I'm trying to force another organization's hand. That's why names like Grace Van Slooten keep getting mentioned by fans online. People want forwards, people want athleticism, people want defensive versatility. And honestly, they're right. The Fever needs somebody who can defend the 4 spot, rebound consistently, and bring physical energy off the bench. Because if the answer to all of this ends up being Bree Hall, then fans are going to feel massively underwhelmed. Now, I will say this, if the Fever were definitely promoting Bree Hall, I think they probably would have already announced it, similar to what happened with Ari McDonald. Usually these moves don't stay quiet very long. So I do think some fans are panicking a little too early here, but the underlying concern is still valid because people want to see this organization make smarter basketball decisions. And honestly, for the first time in a while, waiving Shatori Walker-Kimbrough might actually qualify as a smarter basketball decision. Again, that doesn't mean she's a bad person or that she can't play professionally somewhere else. She'll probably go overseas, continue her career, make money, and maybe even thrive in a different system. But in the WNBA, roster spots are brutal. Teams are ruthless. If you don't fit a role, if you can't provide something specific, you're vulnerable. And unfortunately for Shatori Walker-Kimbrough, she just didn't have a clear role on this roster. She averaged around 1 point per game last season. She barely played meaningful minutes. She wasn't a major defensive stopper, she wasn't giving elite shooting, and she wasn't solving the Fever's biggest weakness, which is size. So while people might get emotional about the move, basketball-wise, it makes sense. And honestly, the Fever had to do something, because right now, this team feels stuck between 2 identities. They want to build around Caitlin Clark, but they also still have roster decisions that feel disconnected from that vision. You cannot fully maximize Caitlin Clark while also having a roster overloaded with undersized guards and inconsistent frontcourt play. Eventually, the roster has to match the star player, and maybe this move is finally the first step toward that. Maybe. But we'll see what happens next, because the follow-up move matters more than the waiver itself. If they bring in real size, people will understand the vision. If they just shuffle guards around again, fans are going to explode. So yeah, that's where things stand right now with the Indiana Fever. Weird timing, strange roster construction, questions around Caitlin Clark, questions around Damiris Dantas, and a fan base desperately hoping the organization finally starts acting serious. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Was waiving Shatori Walker-Kimbrough the right move? Should Damiris Dantas be next? And who should the Fever sign to fix the front court? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.